Guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today is Christmas Eve and I've decided to take Benelli's TRK502X for a little bit of a dirty ride. Now just so you're fully aware that it's Christmas Eve, I have gone festive for this day. Now don't get too excited, it's not a full striptease, but it is Christmas jumper day. Yes, we'll keep the Grinch hidden. Well, until I open my mouth, that is, and then I can go full Grinch on you all. Yeah, anyway, on a serious note, the TRK, I've been having loads of fun on the road, but it's an adventure bike, so I want to see what sort of adventures we can get up to. So today I'm going to take it on some off-road lanes and we'll see how it deals with the dirty stuff. Now I'm sure I'm going to have to give it a wash afterwards, but it's got this lovely white colour for now, hasn't it? So we'll see how dirty it gets. The only thing I'm struggling with at the minute is just it's a height and weight thing, and that's for me and the bike before anybody else says it. One positive though is hopefully going to get the suspension softened a little bit. I'm going to take it to the guys at Into Moto who've said that they should be able to play with the suspension, make it a little bit lower for me, so that hopefully will help. And once that's done, I'll obviously tell you all about that, but for now it's in its original setup. It's still a tall bike, it's still a heavy bike to lug around, but once you're moving, yeah, it's an absolute delight to ride. We're going to find out today, is it a delight off-road as well, because it is in its standard form. It's not been given any extra special tyres on it, it's just what you would get when you buy the bike yourself. So yeah, let's take it off-road, let's see how we get on. I just hope I don't drop it, that's going to be expensive if I do. Oh, anyway, gonna have to get it dirty anyway, that's the rules. Here we go. The dirty, oh, it's a bit muddy. Right, so we start off nice and easy on this road. There is a lot of different types of roads to tackle today. There's lots of mud and cow poo and horse poo and everything else on the road. Yeah, and then we're changing onto a bit of a gravel track. Let's do some standing, shall we? Now, I'm a massive fan of being stood up on this, and that is purely because I have mentioned several times this bike is heavy, but when you're moving it feels really light and really well balanced. So when you're stood up it does feel just nice, it just glides in a straight line, and yeah, I really like it. I'm not so keen looking at the floor though. This is dirty but it looks slippy as well, so I'm going to take it nice and easy around here. We feel the back end a bit twitchy there. It is just a lot of mud and a lot of potholes, but it really does soak up those bumps really nicely. I'm liking how this goes over the bumps. It seems to be gripping as well as you'd expect really with how horrific these roads are, but it's gripping nicely. Ooh. Whee! And it is going through these bumps. As I've said, it's a delight to actually ride this bike. These roads are filthy, it's mainly all mud rather than loose gravel. I've seen quite a few videos on these bikes where they've done some proper extreme stuff, but I'm not doing that today. I'd probably do it if it was my own bike, but it's not, and I don't want to have to take a bike back with any damage on, because I've got to pay for the damage and I don't want that. Oh, what is this? What is this? Sneaky. The road is... Oh, let's see if I can get past this. Now, that's one thing. When you take any bike off-road, a lot of these, to stop the cars, the big off-road things coming. But when you've got a bike, you can, with a little bit of shuffling, sneak it through. These bloody farmers, because this is a public walkway, like a bridle path, a green lane so to speak, but they obviously don't want people round here, do they? Oh, look how muddy that is. Yes, very, very, very muddy. But again, this bike is doing really well, considering it's just on the standard tyres. Whee! Only shitting myself a little bit just with how slippy it is. But I think that's the thing when you're on one of these adventure bikes. They are big brutes, aren't they? The big heavy bikes. Whether you're on something like this on the budget side, or you're on a £20,000+ BMW GS, they are big heavy bikes, and they're not like the little off-roaders that you can be thrashing around here and having loads of fun on. These, you're doing, it's like comfortable ride anywhere type of bikes, and this is just proving that it can do it, and it can do it really, really well. Concrete road, at least it gives me a chance to sit down and just take in, I'd say, the nice country air, but it's not. It's a little bit pooey around here today. Oh, it's very pooey, in fact. It's a good job it's not smelly vision, because yeah, if you could smell this, oh god, it's getting worse. But anyway, you have these short little concrete bits, and then we're back then for a little bit of the muddy stuff. Now, I'm not going to go too fast because, as I've said, this bike is very heavy and these roads are very slippy. But if I was on my own bike doing something like this, I wouldn't be going much faster, to be fair, in these sort of muddy, slippy conditions. Look at the state. It's filthy. It does soak up the bumps beautifully though, really does, and you can just see this is proper filthy sludge. It's just like a very hard, muddy path, this. Oh, another little passing place. Oh, it's a tight squeeze, but we make it. It is a perfect height for me when you're stood on it. That's the thing, is when I'm trying to walk it, no, it feels far too tall. But when you're stood up, it's just a perfect height, because what I've got here is I'm nice straight legged, I've got a bit of a bend in the arm, so it's actually a really comfortable position for standing. Now, I know if you're taller, you might feel like you might want the bars rising a little bit. What I find is if something really suits me, it doesn't tend to suit the taller rider, which is bizarre with this bike, because this bike is all about the taller rider, because it is such a tall bike. However, when you stood up riding, it's perfect for the shorter rider. Who'd have thought it? Ah, it's a proper adventure. That's what I like about adventure bikes. That's what I like seeing people do on adventure bikes. It's stuff like this. It is take them off road. Doesn't have to be a hardcore green lane track, but something like this. And there's loads of these types of roads over the UK. You've just got these lovely, like, hard packed mud tracks, and they just are the perfect. And even stuff like this that I'm on now, it is very, very slippy, but we're getting loads and loads of grip on here. Now, I'm having a little play with cameras today as well, just a side note. Look at this. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get some dirt on there. Oh god, sorry MotoGP, I promise I'll look after it. Just dirty. It's been kept upright. Tough work all this, you know. Yeah, and I will mention the cameras that I'm using. So I always use the GoPro for my, like, chin mount, but I thought I'd get out the Insta360. The 360 that I'm looking right at now. So it has this lovely long pole, which on the GoPro is clearly visible, but on the 360 camera itself, it is not visible. It's completely hidden. It's just this, like, magic thing that it does to just delete the pole, so it looks like it's flying when in fact it's not. Now, it's brilliant when it works, but I've had so many issues with that camera that I just stopped using it. Just because I had issues with it not recording, I had issues with it recording for 5 seconds and then stopping, and I've had loads of stuff, so that's why it doesn't come out much. But I thought today, with me doing a bit of dirty stuff, oh god, this is more comfortable than an off-road bike by a long way. It is. It's a lot more comfortable. It soaks up the bumps a lot better. I am conscious of the fact that I don't have the usual grip that I would have on my off-road bike, but it's coping well, especially with these, like, little hills that we've got here. Way up. Oh god, I sounded like him, didn't I? I went all Yorkshire then. I'm not really doing anything more than 30 mile an hour at the moment, but 30 mile an hour on a bike like this off-road is more than adequate, really. I don't think I need to go any faster. Let's try and turn it round, shall we? I've done enough of these little crossings today. Now, this is one thing that I personally have the issue with, and that is just the sheer size of this bike when it comes to doing stuff like this. Now, I'm on my tiptoes here, and the floor, the gradient, yeah, it's kind of like I'm on a bit of a hill. It's not particularly steep, but it's very slippy. Yeah, it is. It's very slippy. Let's try it a tiny little bit faster, shall we? Wish me luck. Whew. Yeah, do you know, I'm perfectly happy with this. Apologies if you've got wind again, but if I put my visor down, it's just properly steaming up today, so I'm just having to keep the visor open. feel like a proper novice today on this off-road. Don't know what it is. I just being really gingerly, like taking it round the bends and stuff, just because of the tyres. And I don't know why, because I've not had an issue with them, like other than when I first come on here, give it a little bit too much and the back tyre span a little bit, but other than that, it's just working like an absolute dream. I wouldn't really complain about this at all for its off-road prowess. I would bet that, again, if you were taller and you were doing a lot of this kind of stuff, you wouldn't have an issue with this at all. I would probably, in fact no, I would definitely suggest, if you're doing a lot of this kind of stuff, especially if you're doing anything more extreme than just these dirty roads, I would suggest that you got some proper, more of a 60-40 type tyre on there, a bit more grip. But the standard tyres are doing an okay job. I can't complain too much for what I'm doing, the speeds I'm doing them at. But, you know, somebody who does this a lot will go faster than me, I'm sure. And back to just a normal country lane so I can sit down. A nice little sit down. Now, just a quick little stop. Now you can see the bike itself is a tad dirty, so I am going to have to give it a little bit of a clean. But see what I mean about the tyres? The tyres themselves are handling this kind of stuff with ease, no issues with it at all. However, if you're doing anything more extreme, then I would suggest getting some better tyres than that. And these are fine for road and this stuff that I'm doing, like I say, fine. But if you're doing like the off-road course at the ABR as an example, I would probably go for something a little bit, just a bit more. But yeah, so I mean, I can't complain really. The bike itself is holding up really well. It's getting a little bit dirty, but that's about it. See, and that's what I'm talking about with this camera. And it's done exactly the same thing again. I genuinely would never ever ever buy another Insta360 for that reason, because it does it every single time I go out. And it might work for 10 minutes, but then after that, just like it's done now, it's just saying saving, and it's just completely froze on me. So I've probably lost all of the footage I've got there, and it won't even switch off now. That's the joys of these cameras. Absolute bag of crap. I would urge you all to save your money. Really, really despise anything that doesn't work. Is annoying, isn't it? I get annoyed if there's an issue ever with my GoPro. And you do get issues with your GoPro all the time. In fact, I get issues with the GoPro. But this thing, the Insta360 1X, has been nothing but a disaster since I've bought it. And it wasn't cheap either. I paid, I'm sure it was several hundreds. We're not talking some cheap kit here, we're talking expensive. I'm sure it was something like £400 or something. It might have even been more than that, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't advise anyone to buy one, because it's an absolute piece of shit that just doesn't work properly. Avoid. When I keep seeing YouTubers, they go out and they're going, oh, look at this I've got this new Insta camera and it's brilliant. You know for a fact that they've been given it for free. and then it won't be long until you see them back using the GoPro, because if it's anything like this piece of crap, it will just keep breaking. Just cannot deal with it. Take that out. Yeah, I just can't deal with it. It is absolute garbage. For the money, avoid at all costs. Don't touch them. And anybody who tells you that Insta360 is the best camera going, well, sorry, but I just will not accept it, because I've had nothing but issues with that crap. A mate of mine went out and bought the Insta360, the square one, which looks a bit like a GoPro. And yeah, he's had nothing but problems with that, freezing and the image quality being rubbish and all sorts. So yeah, I just don't see why YouTubers are actually trying to plug them. I know a lot of them get them for free, but I wouldn't take one for free now, because I know how garbage they are and how much they're always always breaking. My GoPro, I have issues with sound every now and then, but in the main it works well. It works well. It does most of the time. It works as it's supposed to, whereas the Insta, most of the time, it doesn't. And when you're out for hours and hours in a day trying to get these perfect videos that you can then edit and put online, and you take something like the Insta out and you realise after about 5 minutes it's stopped working, or it's froze, or something's gone wrong with it, it's just so frustrating. The bike's filthy after my little off-road experience, and I need to take it to a jet wash just to give it a little bit of a rinse down, because if I take it home and do it at some point in the future, the bike, well, the mud will dry. If the mud dries, then yeah, it's so much harder to clean, and I don't want that. Let's just get the bulk of it off now. Hopefully this is working. Looks like we're working. Looks like it. Right, so before I do bid you adieu, I just want to show you what fun I've got up to today. Yes, it's a little bit dirty, but do you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm actually quite happy about it. It's got that dirty. I've had a lot of fun off-road. Yeah, and it's not missed a trick. I would consider one of these, you know, for an adventure bike, for a budget adventure bike. It can do what the big boys can do. It can. I don't see the difference really. I know you could do it on a much more expensive bike, but you've got much more to lose if you drop it. This has got your engine protection and all that stuff, and it's a Benelli, which means if you do drop it, parts are going to be cheap as well. Certainly not like Honda or BMW prices, so you've got to bear that in mind. This is going to cost me £2 now though, in the jet wash, so much better, nice and clean. Yes, there you go. That's what it should look like, albeit my phone and me are absolutely soaked. But yeah, got to clean the bike, got to look after it. I'm treating it like my own, and this is what I do with my off-road bikes. If I take them off-road, always got to clean the mud off straight away before it goes dry and hard and everything else. So yes, the bike's had a bit of a spritz to get the mud off, and it's back to looking beautiful in white. Yes, so now I can say catch you on the next one. Laters. Yeah, I'll see you next time with my very clean TRK502X press bike, and I think there's not really a lot more to do. Gonna take it for a long journey. I think that's on my list next. We'll go, I don't know, I might go to Scotland or to Wales. I've not decided yet. It'll be one way or the other, because I'm kind of like, I'm in the north, so we're kind of probably as close to Scotland as we are to Wales, so we're kind of in between the two, maybe slightly closer to Wales depending where you're going. But I want to take it on a proper ride. I want to take it for at the very least a morning till night kind of ride, just to see what it'd be like for touring, because that's the kind of miles and journeys I do. So join me next time for that, where we will properly stretch the legs of this bike and see what it's like for all day riding. Catch you on the next one. Laters.